I hope that each and every one of you are at peace this very moment, and if not, let's work on it together. My name is Mazida Khan. I teach peace to college students. Every class, I push students to dig deep in order to find the root causes of violence and stretch their hearts and minds to find peaceful alternatives. Because I build peace one class at a time, I consider myself a peace educator and a peace builder. Now here's the twist. As a peace educator who happens to be a Muslim American headscarf-wearing woman, I am well aware that when I first walk into a room, much like this one, I may be assumed as a walking, talking contradiction, much like the title of this talk. I mean, let's all be real for a moment. No political correctness. How can Allah and America make me a peace builder? Being Muslim and American, can these two identities even coexist, or do they have to be a contradiction? You're not the only one wondering. I asked myself the same questions on September 11th, 2001. I remember spending much of that day in silence. Silent from the shock of seeing my country so violently attacked. Silent from the confusion of seeing my faith so blatantly manipulated. In the coming days, weeks, and months, my silence grew into questions. Why were these criminals murdering my fellow citizens in the name of my faith? How come the evil they preached looked nothing like the loving Islam I grew up with? Would all of us now be constantly living in a single fear of terrorism? Would many of us now constantly live in a double fear of terrorism and Islamophobia? How would I answer to the debate increasingly imposed on me on whether I was Muslim or American, whether I was with one and against the other? When would I and we find peace now that a vicious cycle of violence erupted? I was sad, scared, and really confused. My heart decided to go to the Holy Quran for answers, and I found, "O humankind," God says, "I have created you in nations and tribes so that you may get to know each other, not that you may hate each other." Differences, disagreement, diversity in nationalities, race, ideologies, even personalities. This verse reminded me the human reality. We are inherently different. We're supposed to disagree. Our diversity is divine. Allah is teaching me in this verse to understand and get to know these differences, not hate them, not shun them, and certainly not kill them. For me, this was a moment of spiritual epiphany. It was also a moment of patriotic awakening, because I realized, thanks to the diverse salad bowl of a nation I grew up in, I had the opportunity to practice this teaching every day of my life. In school, where I sang "My Country 'Tis of Thee, Sweet Land of Liberty" every morning, alongside children of all colors and none, learned Christmas carols, Hanukkah and Kwanzaa celebrations, and shared my own traditions when time came for Ramadan and Eid. Life has been one long experience of celebrating Allah's teachings on dialogue, because America gave me the opportunity to live and thrive in a diverse society. So I continued soul searching, and I found in the final sermon of Prophet Muhammad, an Arab person has no superiority over a non-Arab person, nor does a non-Arab person have any superiority over an Arab person. A white person has no superiority over a black person, nor does a black person have any superiority over a white person, except in piety and good character. The role model of my faith inspired me to equality for all in the same way as the role model of my nation, Dr. Martin Luther King, in his dream for a nation in which we would not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. Now, despite the challenges we still have, America helped me through its civil rights movement to at least try and live this vision for equality that both Prophet Muhammad and Dr. King inspired in me. Now that I had a commitment to diversity and equality deeply rooted in my faith and citizenship, I had a final question to answer. How would I take action? I investigated peace building in Islam and found, whoever amongst you sees an evil, let them change it with their hands. And if they are not able to, let them change it with their tongue. And if they are still not able to change it, let them try and hate the action in their heart. And that is the weakest expression of faith. In other words, when you see injustice, speak up, get engaged, build peace through peaceful means with your hands, tongue, and heart. This call to actively build peace resonated so closely to a similar call to action that inspired civic activism in me and countless other Americans. President John F. Kennedy's call to ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. My faith and country both were being hijacked, and I refused to remain a passive witness to injustice. As I prepared for the peace-building journey ahead, I looked to my faith for the inspiration to peace, and I looked to my nation for the avenues to practice peace. In this way, Allah and America made me a peace builder. But guess what? This isn't just my story. This is the story of countless Muslim Americans for whom 9/11 sparked a lifelong journey in peace building. While my journey turned me into a peace educator, there exist far more significant, prominent Muslim American peace builders who rarely make it to the headlines, yet continue to create what I call the Muslim American Peacebuilding Model, a movement of individuals who are using their Islamic faith and American citizenship to build peace in this nation and beyond. This is a peace movement led by role models like Linda Sarsour, who stands up for the civil rights of people across America, whether it's with policymakers at the White House or protesters in Ferguson. Peace building through faith and civic activism. This is a peace movement led by role models like Dia, Yusr, and Razan, college students who were dedicated to serving the hungry and homeless in North Carolina. Their service to humanity finally made it to the headlines the day they were found shot dead in their Chapel Hill home. Despite a violent death that was triggered by hate, their legacy of love for all continues. Peace building through faith and civic activism. So what enables these Muslim American peace builders? This work is possible because of the opportunities for civic activism in America. The civic infrastructure available here, like avenues of expression, the accessibility of peaceful alternatives. See, we all need the values to inspire us to peace, but we also need civic avenues to actually practice peace. Values for peace combined with a strong civic infrastructure, this is a formula for a successful peace-building model. These very structures, a civic infrastructure and avenues for expression, this is exactly what's lacking in most, if not all, the countries from which violent extremists mostly originate. The worst cases of violence take place in those societies in which expression is suppressed. Now, what does this mean for the rest of the world? The bigger picture here is to build peace across the world, no matter what the faith or who the people. We all need to move beyond fear, beyond guns and bombs, beyond racial and faith-based profiling, beyond alienation or dehumanization of any community in our nation or the world. See, all of this divides and weakens us as a human community. It continues the cycle of violence, and perhaps worst of all, it takes our attention away from the real work that must be done for real, sustainable solutions. We the people, we are at that point in history where we must step it up and change the game. How do we do that? To build peace across the world, we need to make peaceful alternatives accessible. This is possible through strong civic infrastructures, avenues that allow all people equal access to express their grievances so that their voices are actually heard, the way mine was the day after 9/11. The day after 9/11, it was not easy to go back to school. The anger of so many of the people around me was captured in a single statement from one of my teachers. They should just go bomb all of the Muslim countries. Just get rid of them all at once. I listened to her as she said this, soaked in her words, her anger, her pain, our difference. The day after 9/11, and the moment she said those words, this was a moment of choice. To internalize the differences, take the anger, the fear, submit to the labels imposed on me, a choice to disconnect. Or this was a moment where I could choose to face the fears, face the differences. This was a moment when I could choose my own identity of being Muslim and American. It was a moment when I could use the differences between my teacher and I to build peace by getting to know each other. This was a moment of choice, a choice to connect. And that is what we did every day for the rest of that year. Every class period, every class discussion, got to know each other through our differences. Did we ever agree? No. But it didn't matter, because the priority was to understand each other. The day after 9/11 was a moment of choice for me and countless Muslim Americans. And the choice to respond peacefully was enabled through Islam's values for peace and America's avenues for civic activism. Now, before you get too excited about my peace-building achievements since then, I'm going to be real with you. I sure wish that I could stand up here and tell you that in all my peace-building initiatives since then, I did remarkable things, like change the entire world and invent that secret potion that would end violence forever. I wish. I thought that was funny. Maybe not. That always makes people laugh. As you can see, in all honesty, I didn't do any of that. What I simply did was peace building through faith and civic activism. What I simply did was build peace by building human relationships, getting to know the people and the differences around me. I didn't change the entire world, but I changed the world around me. It's been more than 10 years since then. And while it's still not easy, the day after 9/11, I believe that with every challenge comes an opportunity. Today, as a peace educator who happens to be a Muslim American headscarf-wearing woman, I challenge myself and you to set aside our assumptions and face our fears, to use our differences as an opportunity to get to know each other, and realize that to build peace across the world, there is no need to impose or eliminate any faith or belief. Instead, we must promote the unique values for peace found among people of all faiths and none. And we must combine these values with strong civic infrastructures. Let's make peaceful alternatives accessible so that peace building can be a reality and the go-to response for anyone, anywhere in the world, regardless of faith, race, or any other label. I am Mazida Khan. This is how Allah and America made me and countless others a peace builder. Thank you, and may peace be upon you all.